So the other day, right before the Steam Autumn sale finished, if you're watching this now, it's over. You're too late. Sorry, you're not getting anything on sale for a moment. I was looking through the sale. I was looking through my whole wish list to see what was a good deal and where things were at right now on Steam, and I just got this feeling of really just discouragement about how little value is put on video games right now. And you probably clicked on this video thinking that I was going to go into the exact opposite take, that video games are getting more expensive right now, that AAA people, big games are trying to push $70, $80, $100, who knows where it'll end. But at the same time, while that's true, there's also another side of this on in the world of indie games. And that's kind of what I want to speak about today because if you go on Steam right now, there are just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games that are incredibly cheap, like 90% off, 80% off. And me as an indie developer, that's what I'm competing with right now. It's weird how, for whatever reason, when you look at like everything else in the world, like inflation is like just skyrocketed so many different things when you look at literally any industry except video games. But for some reason, like if you look through the history of video games, guess how much video games cost in 1990? $60. For whatever reason, prices have not gone up to the consumer, and I'm guessing that's just because of the whole supply and demand thing, but it makes it really hard. God knows that the cost of development has gone up exponentially since then because of inflation. Essentially, the supply is so high that even as high as the demand is for video games, the supply is somehow still higher. Like, as much as people love video games, you can't play like however many games come out on Steam every single day. How many is it now? 50 games every single day that come out. If you played, if you played, you would have to play a new video game every half an hour in order to keep the pace. It's so insane. But yeah, I just wanted to talk from the perspective of an indie developer because if you really think about it from that side, like there's so many developers, including myself, that put years and years into a project and just pour their heart and soul out into something to try to create a really beautiful piece of art. And after all of that time and blood, sweat, and tears, you throw it out on Steam and you're facing against 50 other games that came out that day, and you're facing against a back catalog of incredible games that are 80% off or even higher. I feel like I'm getting a small taste of how music artists must feel, how songwriters must feel right now, putting their music up on streaming platforms and getting like a quarter of a penny for their streaming revenue after like trying to make something really incredible and pouring their heart into it. But yeah, it's a little better than that, but not by much, you know? There's just like it's weird how we think about money. Like it doesn't really bother me anymore. I'm now completely used to spending $6 for a coffee. It doesn't bother me spending $10 or $20 to go to the movie theaters to watch a 2-hour movie. But yet a game that gives you hours and hours of content that somebody spent years making isn't worth $5, isn't worth $10. And I want to be clear about what I'm trying to say because like I do understand the frustration with AAA studios putting out the exact same game but changing the graphics slightly and adding a marginally different campaign but keeping all the gameplay the same, releasing it super buggy and just slapping a $60, $70 price tag on it. Like I get how frustrating that is for the consumer, and I'm not a fan of that at all. But at the same time, it's like what about all the small studios that are just trying to make it right now? what about games that come out that are genuinely incredible? Like, how many people out there are willing to or even incentivized to buy them? And yet at the same time, how many of us have spent like you spend more money on a skin in Fortnite or Rocket League or whatever than you do on an entire indie game. All the money is just flowing to the top. These things can both be true at the same time. That's part of the frustration, actually, now that I think about it, is like, how can we, how can the big corporations in this industry be so greedy and at the same time the smaller developers be so unappreciated? And I know it could be worse, and I know that people are changing in a lot of ways. This is a good moment to kind of remind myself that, the last like 2 years, indie developers have been kind of ruling the charts because people are sick of the same games coming out again and again. People are sick of just no originality and no creativity and no risk taking. I'm thankful that so many small developers are successful right now in a way that they haven't been for a long time. But it's a very, very small percentage, and it's easy to get discouraged. When I put out my first game on Steam a couple years ago, I spent probably 3 years in main development on and off. Granted, like during that time, I was wrapping up high school and then went and took most of a year off when I started college and then finished it up over the summer or whatever. So it wasn't like 3 years of full time development or anything, but still, it was like a very, very big time investment. And I threw it out there for $10 and people said it wasn't worth that, which maybe it wasn't. It was a very flawed game. It was the first game I had ever published commercially and tried to ask people to pay for. It was something that I built mostly in high school and finished up at the beginning of college. I was what, like 15 or 16 years old when I started developing that game. Like, yeah, it wasn't like the next Skyrim or anything, but still, it was discouraging to see that, I guess. And I'm hoping the current game I'm working on, like my goal is just to make it worth like $12. It's hard to talk about this without sounding like entitled because I get that things are hard right now. Like I'm feeling that too. And I get that not a lot of people just don't have extra money right now for entertainment. But if that's you, then stop giving all your money to the big companies that don't need it. Help out the little guy once in a while, you know what I'm saying? We're only asking $2 from you anyway. Curious what your thoughts are on this. I don't really have a specific thing that I want to say right now. I'm just kind of ranting, just wanted to yap about it for a while. Those are some of my thoughts. Feels good to at least talk about it out loud, and at the end of the day, it could be a lot worse,